I hooked up with my fiancée's cousin years before we met, and now her son looks exactly like me. I finally told her the truth, and now her cousin won't be coming to our wedding. My fiancée Sarah and I have been together for 3 years now. She's actually my first serious girlfriend since middle school, if you can believe it. I should probably mention up front that I wasn't the best with women for most of my teens and 20s, and I often made poor decisions in relationships. I'm not proud of it, but I can't chance the past. I'm saying all this to explain how different I was back then. I've been with a lot of women, probably more than I can count, if I'm being honest. I never kept track because that seemed unnecessary. But yes, it was a lot. Sarah knows about my past, and she has come to accept it. Although it wasn't easy for her. We met at work, and honestly, she didn't like me at first because she saw right through my behavior. I remember the first time I tried to talk to her at a company happy hour, she literally rolled her eyes and walked away. After I pursued her for almost a year, she finally agreed to go on a date, and the rest is history. We've been living together for 2 years now, and I've grown incredibly close to her parents. She also loves my family. These past 3 years have been the best of my life, and I'm so excited to spend the rest of my life with her. I proposed about 6 months ago, and we're getting married next spring. We've been busy with all the wedding planning venues, guest lists, all of it. Sarah has been obsessing over every detail in the best way, and we just sent out invitations last month. I wanted to send a group text, but apparently that's considered tacky, so we did it properly. Her entire extended family is invited, including Lauren, her husband, and their kid. Sarah was especially excited about Lauren coming because they'd always talked about being in each other's weddings since they were little girls. Lauren was supposed to be one of Sarah's bridesmaids and everything. Now a bit of background on Sarah. She comes from a well-off family, not super rich, but definitely upper middle class. Her dad's a surgeon, and her mom runs a non-profit. They place a huge emphasis on appearances and respectability, and Sarah has definitely inherited that. She's incredibly put together, elegant, and has strong opinions about what's proper and what isn't. She once broke up with a guy because he wore socks with sandals to meet her parents. She's not snobby about it, she just has standards that are really important to her. I definitely wasn't her type when we first met. I was a bit cocky, and had a different girl every weekend, but something eventually clicked between us. She told me later she saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. Sounds cheesy, I know, but it's true. She made me want to be better. Now here's where everything went south this weekend. Her cousin and family came to town. She's really close with her cousin Lauren, and it's kind of surprising I hadn't met her yet, but I was always busy for one reason or another. The few times she's visited in the last 3 years, Sarah was always disappointed when I couldn't meet Lauren, because they grew up together, and are super close, almost like sisters. Lauren lives across the country now, so she only visits once or twice a year. I finally met Lauren and her husband for dinner at Sarah's parents' place. Sarah was so excited for us to finally meet, and kept telling me how much I'd like Lauren because she's fun and has the best sense of humor. We arrived a little late, because I couldn't find my nice shoes, and Sarah insisted I couldn't wear my everyday ones to dinner. Told you she's particular about appearances. When I walked in, Lauren immediately stared at me, a bit wide-eyed, and I couldn't help but think she looked familiar. We were all being introduced, and Lauren seemed to act normally, but she kept staring at me whenever she could. Her husband Tom, or Tim, something with a T, seemed nice enough, a quiet guy who mostly talked about his job in IT the whole time. I had this nagging feeling that I knew Lauren from somewhere, but I couldn't place it. Sarah's parents then came in with Lauren's little boy, who's around 5 years old, I think. His name is Ethan or something similar. Sorry, I'm terrible with names. I looked at this kid, and Lauren, and the only thing I could think of was that this boy looked like a carbon copy of me when I was his age, with just a little bit of Lauren mixed in. Same eye shape, same nose, same little scar on the back of his head, that my mom used to try and tame with water, and a comb every morning. It was like looking at an old photo album of myself. I suddenly started remembering that I took Lauren home from a bar about 6 years ago. It was during that phase when I was going out every weekend, and bringing someone home almost every time. I also remembered convincing her not to use protection after I showed her my health records. I know, I wasn't the best version of myself back then. And even crazier, I think Lauren was visiting Sarah that weekend when I took her home. They probably had a girls' night out that weekend with their friends, and I took Lauren home. Sarah was probably at the same bar that night, but I was too drunk to pay attention to those details. I vaguely remember Lauren mentioning she was visiting her cousin, but I wasn't focused on that at the time. I was a nervous wreck for the rest of dinner, accidentally knocking over my wine glass and spilling it all over the table. Sarah's mom had to get a new tablecloth. I kept catching Lauren looking at me and then quickly looking away. I think she realized, based on how she looked at me and the boy, that maybe I realized too. The kid came up to me at one point and asked if I wanted to see his toy car, and I nearly had a panic attack. His eyes were exactly like mine. Sarah's dad even made a comment about how the kid seemed to really like me, and I wanted to disappear right there. Sarah asked me if I was okay on the drive home, and I just told her I wasn't feeling well, which wasn't a lie. I felt like I was going to throw up the entire time. I didn't go to work yesterday and today, and just took sick days. I've been laying in bed pretending to have a stomach bug, but really I'm just freaking out. Sarah's been taking care of me, bringing me soup and stuff, which just makes me feel even more guilty. I don't know what to do. Lauren obviously isn't saying anything, and I have no clue if she was married at the time. I don't want to ask Sarah, because I don't want her getting suspicious about me asking. I don't even know how I feel about possibly being a father. I'm 95% sure this kid is mine. He doesn't look anything like the husband, not even a little bit. The kid has my exact nose, and even the same little scar on the back of my head that I used to have. He even has the same little dimple on his right cheek that I do. If I'm right about the timing, Lauren would have been visiting Sarah the same weekend I met her. I don't remember exactly, but what matters is there's a very real possibility that I hooked up with my future fiancé's cousin, before I even knew my fiancé existed, got her pregnant, and now that kid is being raised by another man who has no idea. Do I just stay quiet? I never cheated on Sarah, obviously, but she knows how much of a player I was, and it took her a while to get past my past. I don't know how she'd react if she finds out I got her cousin pregnant, years before knowing her. Sarah and Lauren are super close. They talk all the time and text constantly. How has this never come up? Did Lauren never mention to Sarah that she had a one-night thing with some random guy while visiting her, or did she and Sarah just never make the connection that it was me? This is vain and superficial, but I love Sarah to death, and she absolutely hates anything that's considered trashy or low class. I honestly think it's possible she'd leave me if she finds out I got her cousin pregnant, and the fact that this kid exists and is Sarah's cousin's child, I can't lose her. She's literally the best thing that's ever happened to me. I should probably mention that Sarah and I have talked about having kids of our own someday, but not until after we're married and settled. She has this whole life plan mapped out. If she finds out I already have a kid with her cousin, I'm in trouble. The past couple of days have been torture. I keep checking my phone, thinking Lauren might text me or something, but nothing. Sarah keeps asking what's wrong with me, why I'm acting so weird. I told her I'm still not feeling well, but I don't think she's buying it anymore. I know people are going to call me a coward for not stepping up if this is my kid, but you have to understand, I had no idea until now, and the kid has a dad. Her husband seems to love him. Would it really be better for everyone if I blow up multiple relationships? The kid seems happy, Lauren seems happy, her husband seems clueless, but content. Is it really my place to mess all that up? What would you do in my situation? Keep quiet and pretend nothing happened. Confront Lauren. Tell Sarah. I feel like I'm going to throw up every time I think about this. Edit. Some people are asking about the health test thing. Yes, I got regular health tests back then, because I was living that lifestyle. No, I didn't force her to do anything. I just suggested skipping protection and showed her my recent test results on my phone. She agreed. Yes, it was stupid and irresponsible, I get that. Update. Thanks for all the responses, even the ones calling me irresponsible. I deserved. After 3 days of staying at home and feeling sick to my stomach with nervousness about this, I finally told Sarah late last night after my last post. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that kid and his eyes that look exactly like mine. I was terrified Sarah would find out from someone else, or that I'd run into Lauren and the kid again, and completely lose it. I know a lot of you said to keep my mouth shut, and believe me, I considered it, but the anxiety was literally making me physically ill. I threw up twice yesterday just from stress. As embarrassing as it is, I cried from start to finish telling Sarah, and I pretty much told her I don't want to live without her. I know that sounds dramatic, but I was honestly terrified she'd walk out the door and never come back. We were in bed about to fall asleep, and I just blurted out, "I need to tell you something." Once I started talking, I couldn't stop. I told her everything, how I recognized Lauren, remembered our night together, and how seeing the kid made me realize he might be mine. I told her about the physical similarities, the timing, everything. She didn't say anything at first, just sat there staring at me. Those were the longest few seconds of my life, but then she held my hands and patiently listened while I kept rambling and apologized. I told her how seeing that kid mentally broke me, because I saw my future with her jeopardized as soon as I saw him. She told me she was upset I didn't tell her as soon as we left her parents' place, and that I should never keep something like this from her again. But she understood I was scared. "I'm not leaving you," she said, which made me cry even harder, like a complete idiot. She said I never betrayed her in the last 3 years we've been together, and we'll figure this out too. She said she'll reach out to Lauren herself, and figure out what's going on, because Lauren's been with her husband for 10 years now, and if she's my one-night stand from years ago, then she definitely cheated. I hadn't even thought about that part, that Lauren could have been married or at least in a relationship when we hooked up. That makes this whole situation even more messed up. Then we had an even more uncomfortable conversation about the type of things I've done in my past. She wanted to know if there were any more surprises she needs to be ready for. She said she knows I was promiscuous, and a bit of a reckless idiot. But we kind of swept everything under the rug when we got together, because we both agreed we wanted a fresh start. After this fiasco, that might have been a bad idea, so she wants to know everything in detail now, but we can have that talk another time. I don't feel great about this, but I'll deal with this hurdle when it comes up. We barely slept. Sarah kept asking questions, trying to remember when exactly Lauren visited during that period. I couldn't remember the exact date, just that it was some weekend about 6 years ago. Sarah thinks it was around her birthday, which would put it in May. That timing would make sense with the kid's age. Sarah has been home with me, trying to get in touch with Lauren since this morning, but she's been getting completely stonewalled. She's called like 5 times, and Lauren isn't picking up. She sent several texts too. Finally, Lauren texted her back, saying only, "Please just let it go." Sarah asked her again if they could just have a quick chat or if texting was okay, but Lauren insisted to just let it go, please. I'm guessing Lauren realized I told Sarah everything. We don't know how to proceed from here on out. Should we push hard? They're staying in town for a few more days, or should we respect her wishes and back off? Sarah is really upset about the whole situation. They're so close normally, and now Lauren is shutting her out completely. Lauren also just changed her response to our wedding invite to a no-show. Sarah saw it on the wedding website this afternoon and started crying. She's really hurt by this, but honestly, I'm fine with this outcome. We always planned to leave the US in a few years anyway, maybe move to Canada or Europe for my work, so maybe distance will make this easier to deal with. Anyway, thanks everyone for the advice, much appreciated. Edit for update. I got a lot of messages asking me to just shut the hell up, and I was honestly ready to go that route, but I think the worry was actually making me physically sick. Just thinking about Sarah finding out from someone else down the road. A lot of people in the comments and DMs are calling me out for faking the blood work and protection thing, telling me that me sleeping with 3 different women and not getting a single disease is a miracle in itself. But truth be told, I was and still am clean. I didn't pressure her, nor did I show her something that was fake. She requested it, and I pulled up my phone and showed her my latest blood work. Medical labs email your results these days. She said she was clean too, and that's it. It was hugely irresponsible and stupid on my part, but I was a different person back then, and yeah, still a shitty thing to do. I understand, no need to keep repeating it. Also, to those asking if I'm certain the kid is mine. No, I'm not 100% sure, but the resemblance is striking. He has my exact eye shape, my nose, even the way his hair grows is identical to mine. The timing also adds up. Could it be a coincidence? I guess, but it feels unlikely. Update 2. I've received numerous messages asking for an update, so here it is. A lot has happened since my last post, though maybe not as much as you'd expect. Since my last update, Sarah and Lauren have been texting. After a few days of silence, Lauren finally responded to Sarah. Their conversations have been brief and tense, with Lauren mostly apologizing for not attending our wedding. She also sent us some wedding and Christmas gifts, which was a kind gesture on her part. Sarah didn't push for answers but left an open invitation for Lauren to talk whenever she felt ready. A few days before Christmas, so about a month after the initial dinner, Lauren FaceTimed Sarah and revealed everything. I wasn't supposed to be part of the conversation, but Sarah wanted me there, so I sat just out of view, where Lauren couldn't see. It turns out that Lauren and her husband were going through a rough patch in their marriage at the time we hooked up. He had an emotional affair with a coworker, and they were separated for a few weeks before reconciling. Lauren and I met early on during the separation, and that's when we had our one-night stand. She told Sarah that I'm the only person she was with during that time. Soon after, she realized she was pregnant. After reconciling with her husband, who they had been trying to have a baby for a while with no success, they decided to raise the child as their own. Her husband knew the baby might not be biologically his, but they never did a paternity test. They just moved forward as a family. What really hit me was when Lauren started crying and told Sarah how terrified she was when she saw me at dinner. She admitted that she'd always had this fear in the back of her mind, that the truth would come out someday, but she never imagined it would happen like this. She never realized that I was the same guy Sarah had been dating for years, because she only knew my first name from that night. It's a fairly common name, and she had never seen any photos of me, since I'm not on social media and have barely any online presence. Lauren told her husband about the situation, and it's caused some tension in their marriage. They're working through it now. He knew about the nameless, faceless man from the past, but seeing me in person and realizing the truth after all this time has been a lot for him. I'm the one guy who has been through something a bit traumatic, and he's feeling very insecure. Unfortunately, he doesn't want us to interact or be in the same room again. I was listening, just out of view of the camera, but I couldn't help but ask Lauren if this meant I could never see the child. She just apologized and said she would talk to Sarah later, and that was it. They've still been texting, and it seems like Lauren and her husband will be okay with some time. Their marriage counselor apparently advised them to take some space from us, which I understand. Now, we always have to coordinate so that we don't show up at family events at the same time, which is going to be awkward for everyone. Sarah and Lauren have already made plans to meet on their own, which I think is good. I don't want to come between them. Sarah's parents have no idea what's really going on. They just think that Lauren and her husband had some emergency and had to leave town early. We've all agreed to keep it that way for now. I can't imagine how they'd react if they knew the full story. As for Sarah and me, we're doing okay. We had one pretty bad fight a few days after the last post went up. She wanted to know in detail everything about the type of guy I was before. Honestly, it felt like an intense interrogation at one point. How many people exactly did I ever mislead? Did I ever promise things I didn't? Did I ever give anyone else an illness? No, thank God. She cried and told me she wished she'd fallen in love with someone else, which hurt a lot. She apologized the next morning, and we've been doing a lot better since. I think we're stronger now. Now that she knows everything, there are no more secrets between us. I've also decided I'm never doing those ancestry testing services. Imagine if the kid did one of those someday and found out it'd be a nightmare. I've also got a much better paying, fully remote job with a tech company based in Europe, which works well with our plans to move eventually. Sarah will talk with her boss to see if she can convert to full remote too, which we think is possible. We might be leaving sooner than we thought. As for the people asking if I want to be involved in the child's life, I honestly don't know. Part of me does, but another part thinks it would just complicate everything. The child has a dad who loves him. Would it really be better for him to find out his whole life is based on a lie? I don't know the answer to that. That's it. Thanks everyone who provided advice, especially after the first post. Update 6 months later. I didn't think I'd be back here again, but there's been a new development. I'm actually typing this from the airport while waiting for a flight, so forgive any typos. It's been about 6 months since everything went down. Sarah and I are doing better than ever. We had to postpone the wedding a bit to deal with everything, but we've set a new date and everything's on track. Sarah had some trust issues for a while after finding out about my past in detail, but we worked through it. She says she loves the man I am now, not the person I was then. We moved as planned, though not to Europe yet. We're in a different state now, about a 5-hour flight from where Lauren and her family live. The distance has actually been good for everyone. I think Sarah and Lauren still talk, though not as often as before. Things are obviously different between them, but they're trying to maintain some kind of relationship. Family is important to both of them. The weird thing is Lauren's husband reached out to me through Facebook a while back. He didn't say much, just wanted to meet for a drink next time I was in town for anything. Sarah was nervous about it but said I should go. We happened to be flying back for Sarah's dad's birthday last month, so I agreed to meet him. We met at a dive bar near his work, and the whole thing was a bit uncomfortable. He just stared at me for a while, like he was trying to see something of himself in my face, or something. He ordered a beer but barely touched. He asked me a bunch of unusual questions about my family's medical history, if we had any genetic conditions.
that sort of thing. I guess it makes sense though. He wants to know what might come up for the child health-wise. Then he just straight up asked me if I wanted to be involved in the child's life, which completely caught me off guard. I told him I wasn't sure and that I had been respecting his wishes to stay away. He said he'd been thinking about it a lot, and that maybe it wasn't fair to keep the child from knowing his biological father. He told me that the child, whose name is Ethan by the way, has been asking questions about why he doesn't look like his dad. Kids at school notice too apparently. That makes me wonder how I ever thought we could keep this a secret forever. I don't know how to feel about all of this. Part of me wants to meet the child and get to know him, but another part thinks it's better to just leave things as they are. I never wanted to be a dad to kids outside my marriage with Sarah. I never saw myself in that role, and now there's this child out there who is biologically mine, but I had no part in raising him. What about Sarah? She's been amazing through all of this, but I know it's been hard on her. We've talked about having our own kids someday, but now everything feels complicated. Would our kids be Ethan's half-siblings? Would we have to explain all of this to them someday? It's a mess. Sarah says she'll support whatever I decide, but I can tell she's a bit unsettled by the whole thing too. Her family has no idea what's going on, and we've somehow managed to keep it that way. Her parents ask why Lauren never visits when we're around, and Sarah makes up excuses about scheduling conflicts. I don't know how long we can keep this up. The funny thing is, if this had happened before I met Sarah, I probably would have just cut ties with everyone involved. But now, I'm actually trying to be responsible and figure out what's best for the child. Who have I become? Even Sarah has changed me in ways I never expected. Lauren still hasn't said anything about me meeting Ethan. Her husband said she's coming around to the idea but needs more time. I understand that this isn't easy for anyone, so that's where things stand. Lauren's husband wants me to meet the child. Lauren herself hasn't said anything about it, and Sarah and I are just trying to figure out what to do. I told him I'd think about it and get back to him. Any advice? Has anyone dealt with something similar? I doubt it, but maybe you all can give me some perspective. Edit. Just to clarify, since I've been getting a lot of messages about this, no, I haven't decided if I'm going to meet Ethan yet. Lauren's husband and I have exchanged a few more texts, but nothing definite has been planned. I'm still processing everything. Final update. 1 year later, so I've been getting messages asking for updates, and since this will probably be my last post, I figured I'd share where things stand now. Sarah and I got married about 4 months ago. It was a small ceremony with just close friends and family. Lauren was there but not her husband or Ethan. It was a little awkward at first, but by the end of the night Sarah and Lauren were laughing and crying together like old times. It made me realize how important their relationship is to both of them. As for Ethan, I did end up meeting him. It happened about 3 months after my last update. Lauren, her husband and I had a series of conversations about how to handle everything. We decided to ease into it. At first I'd just be introduced as a family friend, and we'd see how it went from there. The first meeting was at a park. I was nervous but it actually went pretty well. Ethan is a cool kid. He's into space, which coincidentally was one of my obsessions at his age. Sarah says that's probably genetic, but who knows? We played catch and talked about his school, just normal stuff. I've seen him a handful of times since then and we do video calls sometimes too. He still doesn't know I'm his biological father. We all agreed that's a conversation for when he's older, maybe around 10 or so. For now, we're just letting things unfold naturally. I'm just uncle now, which is weird but also feels right for the moment. Lauren and her husband are doing better. They went through some rough patches after everything came out, but they're committed to making it work. Her husband is a better man than I would be in his situation. He's raised Ethan from day one and loves him like his own. I respect him a lot for that. Sarah has been incredible through all of this. She's even formed her own relationship with Ethan, which I never expected. She sends him little gifts sometimes and helps me pick out books he might like. She says she thinks of him as family, which honestly makes me love her even more. We're still living in a different state, but we visit about once every couple of months. It's a strange arrangement, but it works for now. We're all just trying to do what's best for Ethan. Sarah and I are actually expecting our own child now. We found out a few weeks ago. We haven't told many people yet, but we did tell Lauren and her family. Ethan is excited to have a cousin. That's how we're framing it for now. It's kind of weird to think that these kids will actually be half-siblings, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Life is strange. A few years ago, I was this selfish guy who never thought about consequences. Now, I'm married and about to be a dad, officially this time, and trying to navigate this bizarre family situation with as much grace as possible. If there's a lesson here, I guess it's that your past always catches up to you eventually, but also that it's possible to make something positive out of even the most difficult situations. if everyone involved is willing to put in the effort. Thanks for all the advice over the past year and a half. It genuinely helped, even the tough stuff. I'm signing off now, but wish us luck.